Hi teacher, my name is Jenny Ferrer and today I'm going to explain to you about myth and misconception about second language learning. Teacher, I want to tell you that I use some image and in each one I will give my opinion. As teacher, we understand that teaching a second language is not an easy task. As learners as well, this experience can be frustrating and difficult. That is why we need to discard misconception, myth, or any popular idea that can confuse our learners and ourselves. We cannot have intuitive assumptions because they are usually wrong. Having unrealistic expectation and an accurate understanding of the process of second language learning and its relationship to acquire other academic skill and knowledge can damage our students. One of the first myths that the reading is not agreed with it is that children are facile second language learners. This is a partly true. Children can learn language faster than adults, and the child learners speak without a foreign accent, whereas this is impossible for adult learners. This is based on critical period hypothesis. The argument is that children are superior to adults in learning second language because their brains are more flexible, according to Lerberg, 1967. They can learn language easily because their cortex is more plastic than that of other learners. The corollary hypothesis is the frozen brain hypothesis applied to adult learners. However, this hypothesis has been criticized by researchers due that the evidence has reflected psychological and social factors rather than biological ones that favor child learners. Second, language are learning mainly through imitation. When acquiring a second language, learners create new sentences which are based on their developing understanding of how they believe the language system works. Learners do more than internalize a large list of imitated and memorized sentences. They also identify patterns in the language and extend them to new contexts. Third, parents usually correct young children when they make grammatical errors. This is not true. Actually, parents are more focused on the meaning instead of the form. Thus, they may correct an incorrect word choice, an incorrect statement of the facts, or a rude remark, but they do not often react to errors that do not interfere with communication. 4. Highly intelligent people are good language learners. This myth is partly true as well. People with high IQ will have success where the emphasis is on grammar rules. However, in natural language learning, it is more difficult for them if the emphasis is on oral communication skill rather than metalinguistic knowledge. We need to stand out that language learning involves many different skills and abilities that are not measured by IQ tests. Fifth, the best predictor of success in second language acquisition is motivation. It is true that learners that want to learn usually are better than those that do not want. Nevertheless, sometimes even those learners that are motivated present difficulties on their learning path. There are different factors that affect the learning process, such as language learning attitude, how the instruction interacts with individual learners' styles and preference for learning, how much time the learner can devote to learning the new language, and what opportunities the learner has to use the language outside the classroom. Sixth, the best way to learn new vocabulary is through reading. In fact, students or children expand their vocabulary during social contexts. When children receive guidance from instructions and develop good strategies for learning and remembering words, will benefit more than those who simply focus on getting the main ideas from a test. The evidence shows that learners receive benefits from readings that are interesting to them. 7. It is essential for learners to be able to pronounce all the individual sounds in the second language. The ability to make people understand about what we are talking depends more on the ability to reproduce phrasing and stress patterns than on the ability to articulate and pronounce correctly each individual sound. We need to highlight that the vast majority of the language of the world have different varieties and we cannot teach our students to learn just one. 8. One learns know roughly 1,000 words and the basic structures of a second language. They can easily participate in conversation with native speakers. We cannot discard the pragmatic rules, which are also essential in the learning acquisition process. In addition, the cultural difference can lead to communication breakdown even when the words and the sound structures are correct. Sometimes words mean something completely different in a particular culture. 9. Learners' errors should be corrected as soon as they are made in order to prevent the formation of bad habits. Errors are important in the process. It is natural. We cannot avoid them. Students are not expected to adopt the current form or pattern immediately. When errors are frequent and all the students are making the same mistakes, it is useful to bring the problem to the learner's attention. Excessive feedback on error can affect negatively to students' motivation. As teachers, we need to be sensitive to students' reactions to correction. The amount and type of correction will depend to the specific characteristics of the students as well as their relationship with the teacher and with each other. Finally, our last myth is when learners are allowed to interact freely, for example, in group or pair activities. They copy each other's mistakes. It is true that what we hear and read serves as an input to language development. We cannot be shut down when we are in social interactions with other learners. In addition, in the interaction process, some learners may provide incorrect input to others. However, if the activities are well designed, learners working in groups get more practice in speaking and participating in conversation that they ever could in a teacher-centered class. These activities can be created in such a way that learners working together can discover not only how to express or interpret meaning, but also how to discover the correct patterns in the second language. To conclude, acquiring a second language is a process that we need to develop stage by stage. Having the correct knowledge about it will improve our teaching experience. We need to have a better understanding of our duties as a teacher as well as a language learner. It is important to understand that language learning has many different factors and which teacher has not control over them. Among these are the personal characteristics and experience of the learner, the social and cultural environment, both inside and outside the classroom, the structure of the native and target language, opportunities for interactions with speakers of the target language, and access to corrective feedback and for focused instructions. Thank you, teacher, for your attention.